Hi everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person to present to you. It's quite a short presentation, so should be fine via video. As you can see, I'm in a darkened room. They don't let me out very much. I've already had my quota of meeting human beings this month, so I'll rattle on and get on with the presentation. So first, a little bit about myself. I'm Steve Robinson. I head up the data insights team. Um, my background is I'm an accountant. I started my career at Ernst & Young, but then did various finance roles. I was finance director of Argos about 20 years ago, and then moved into some C-suite roles where I was sort of running businesses. But the thread of excitement through that, in terms of what I enjoyed doing, was looking at data and insight and helping businesses get more profit and value out of their data. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, I've focused on doing that as a career. And the is that we're able to leverage through that. There's 4 of them really. So we do a bit of insight consulting where we help people with their insight strategy. What we're going to talk to you about today is a solution where we have a load of out-of-the-box, ready-to-deploy suites that we can help businesses with. We actually use those to do insight advisory, so businesses for DD or actually and helping PE and VCs to do that. And then finally, if some of our SaaS insight isn't applicable to you, we will do some insight development. When we work with businesses, we use this insight maturity matrix to plot where they are, and in the room you'll be able to work out where you think you sit. But along the bottom, it's how dispersed insight is within your organization, and along the left-hand side, it's how sophisticated that insight is. So low to high and simple to complex. And we find the majority of businesses sit in that inadequate insight box where it's not very widely dispersed and it's pretty simple. Occasionally we find the more dangerous situation where it's everywhere and it's simple, which can be a bit of a problem. But what ultimately we're trying to do is get you in that top right-hand box as quickly as possible to get you into the intrinsic insight box. And you would have heard today around why that's important at the moment, whether it's the increased employers NI that you're trying to find and close that gap, whether it's trying to get your profitability up pre some sort of transaction, or even have a great communication story so you can get your multiple up. For all those reasons, we want to get you to world class as quickly as possible, and we believe we can do that within a matter of weeks, if not days. What prevents people being in that top box and what makes them sit in the bottom box on the left is you need 3 skill sets. You need a technical expertise to get hold of data, clean it, connect it together, and get it into a sort of usable format. You need analytical techniques to unlock that data and transform it into insight. And you need financial acumen to work out how all of that aligns with profitability and increase in shareholder value. And what we find is it's really rare you've got individuals basically that can do all 3 of those things. And so often you're reliant on teams to do it. And if you rely on, say, the IT team, who might have the technical expertise, they lack the analytical and the financial acumen. And obviously finance people in the room, you've got great financial acumen, but you may not have all of the analytical techniques or the technical expertise to be able to implement that. So we try and cut through all of that. We do have those blend of those skill sets, and we sort of help businesses get past these barriers. In terms of our main offering is the insight suites, and they're ready to deploy. There's thousands of reports within them, and they exist because the native analytics that you get in things like Sage or Xero, or if you're a retail business, something like Shopify, they're not particularly usable. They've got restrictions, and they've not really been designed to help you make better financial decisions. So we've built it to suck the data out of those systems and outperform the analysis. We have a world-class understanding of customers. They could be B2B customers or D2C customers. Our analytics around those are very advanced and give you more insight into the behavior and evolution of those customers than you'll see elsewhere. And using that insight, that will enable you to make better resource allocation decisions. So for a B2B business, that could be the effort that your sales team are putting in on the phones, for example, or it could be internal resource in terms of projects where you should be allocating your effort. For a D2C business, that tends to be marketing spend, but could also be resource. And so we'll help give you the insight to better allocate those resources to create the greatest amount of shareholder value, really. And then the availability of the data on a timely basis aims to help you maximize your trading efficiency, or effectively, if there's money that you're leaving on the table through not having better visibility in a more timely manner, or even to the depth of detail like item level profitability, for example, we help get all those issues solved and basically help you make those decisions on a more timely basis, and improve that trading efficiency. Because we're connected to all the data sets, we can automate a lot of your daily, weekly, or say monthly board packs. So if you're sat there cutting and pasting stuff into a spreadsheet every Monday morning, and because we're APIing into a lot of data, we can automate that. And then the final point, because we've been to the trouble of tidying up the data and getting it into a usable format, we can do stuff like budget modeling. For a D2C business, for example, we can create a cohort-based budget model in a matter of minutes that sits on top of our customer analytics, or we can sit machine learning on top of that. One of the things that we do is marketing mix modeling, where you basically look at the amount of money that you're spending in a market across the different channels of marketing spend, and seeing how that can be better allocated, and machine learning will work that out for you. And why use the data insights team? Well, through our skill set, we know that these things are very quick to deploy. Often we can get a business up and running in hours if the stars align. We know that what we do can be overwhelming in terms of all of the insight suites, so we will customize our approach to align. Sorry, I'm being attacked by a fly. We'll customize our approach to align with your requirements. So we'll cherry pick the things that are most relevant to you, so you can basically create your insight. Again, because it's overwhelming, we like to meet with you regularly to go through what we see in the results of the analyses, a bit like a doctor going through your blood test results with you. We know what we're looking for in terms of those markers of things that you could be doing better, or where you should be pushing harder. We call that asset-backed consulting, basically, because all of the assets that we need to do that consulting have been pre-built. When you do use the suites, it's a simple to use and consistent user interface. Bit of an accounting joke here. It's sort of substance over form, so it's not too whizzy with too many sort of clever graphs that are sort of flashy. It's all about the quality of the analysis, but it's all very simple and easy for you to interact with if you do want to do that on your own. And as we've said, we a lot of it means that the insight's automated and it can be available on a very timely manner. And I'll reiterate, I genuinely believe that the analysis that we do into to customer lifetime value is some of the deepest that exists out there. Next question, everyone says, well, it's not going to work for me because my data's in a real mess. And so what I would say to you is we've sort of seen it all before. There's not a problem yet that we haven't been able to solve. Yes, some are trickier than others, but you get there at the end. Once you get that sort of magic key into the data, it rarely changes, and therefore you reach that point of the great unlock. And what we're after essentially is very simple sort of 4 columns of data at the heart of all of this, which is transaction date, transaction ID, transaction value, and customer ID. And the whole of our customer analytics could be run with just those 4 columns. Obviously, the more things you add to that, like line level detail or other attributes, the more value you'll get. And we can absorb that via APIing into, say, the accounting systems, or just basically getting a transactional export out of any system. and doing that, we'd be able to populate most of the suites. And here's a few examples. You won't be able to see this on the screen. They'll be in the packs that get circulated. This is more of a prompt for me to tell you about some of the techniques that we use. So this first chart, what we're doing is doing what we do quite a lot, which is taking a KPI and converting it into the pound impact that it's had. We like doing that because, yes, it's interesting looking at KPIs, but ultimately you really want to know what the pound impact of that KPI is. And so what we've done here is look at year-on-year sales variance, and we broke it into, is it being driven by the number of customers that you've got compared to the previous year, their frequency of spend, the items per order, and the average selling price. And so we've basically done a decomposition of the year-on-year revenue variance. And I can very visibly see here that there was a time over the year where, all of the KPIs were delivering a benefit. And then most recently, customers year-on-year has become a negative impact. So like I said, you don't really need to focus too much on the detail. It's proving a technique out to you. Here's another thing that we do, basket analysis. So what gets bought most commonly with what? And we can do that based on the lifetime of a customer or in the same order. The next example is looking at categories and products and seeing how frequently they appear in customers' orders. We call it penetration. And so how deep are these products penetrating the orders? And then you can basically benchmark any attribute that you'd like. So it could be how often does it appear across different customers? It could be how often does it appear across different, say, discount codes. In B2B, it could be different salespersons or different sales regions. So really useful analysis as to benchmarking the performance. Countries, another one that we see quite a lot. And this is another analysis that I like. It's basically taking any attribute you've got. Here we're showing product, but again, it could be salesperson or anything else, or a store or something, or physical location. But it's basically saying, if that thing has appeared in both years, what's the like-for-like growth that's coming from that attribute? If it appeared last year and doesn't appear this year, what revenue have you lost because of that? And if it's new in this year, what revenue have you gained? So you can basically split your growth into new, lost, and like-for-like, and actually we can trend the impact of that over time. And then in this last example, again, not expecting you to read it, but we have great locational analysis, which is fantastic for those businesses that perhaps can identify their customers, or the D2C businesses. And basically we have population at a postcode level, and we have social demographic definitions from the ONS at a postcode level. So we can basically tell you in which social demographic groups you over-index, which can be really useful for things like targeting in meta, which you can do at a postcode sector level. So really detailed, like mine would be SO16-7. So at a very, very detailed level, we can basically tell you the types of customers that you over-index with, and your best customers in terms of lifetime spend, and you can go after them. And what's happened quite recently is we've been using that with some clients for door dropping. They're very cheap to do with the Royal Mail, about 6p per household. So just some examples there. Again, wasn't expecting you. They'll be in the pack for you to be able to see those on the screen. If you're interested in any of that, happy to have a chat with you. Best way to get hold of us is to reach out through your normal contact. So again, apologies I couldn't be with you, but I hope you picked up the substance from this recording. Thanks so much.